You guys have been asking, so here it is. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video, and in today's video, boy, do we have something special. We ran a poll earlier today on Twitter and on our community, and it looks like over 1,000 of you participated in the poll, looking like many of you guys want to hear my top 10 LRs for this year. So in today's video, we will be going ahead and sharing that out. As we proceed through this week, we will also be taking a look at the top 10 DFE TURs and the top 10 free-to-plays. But for today, let's focus on the LRs. So I do want to start by saying that this is a subjective list. This is purely my opinion based on my experiences with these units. Now, that given, this is a global only list. I will not include units from JP that I have not yet pulled or used. So this will only be units that have released on global so far this year as of December 2022. Now, all of this could be invalidated in the coming week with the release of Beast Gohan and Orange Piccolo, but for now, this is what we've got. So we're going to go ahead and kick things off with our number 10 pick. A pick I think might surprise some of you, but shouldn't surprise anybody who's been around the channel for a while. So our number 10 pick is the Tech LR Gogeta. We have this guy on the list mainly because of what he provides to the team. You guys know, who have watched many of my Red Zone runs, how everybody's always asking why is he on the team. It's because of his scouter effects. On top of damage reducing and defense raising in base form, he gets the same thing once he transforms, and come turn 4 during that transformation, not only does he reduce damage, he foresees all super attacks for 5 turns. And for many big red zone runs, that 5 turns is all you need to finish the fight. So having that and knowing where super attacks are coming is huge. He's also a rainbow orb changer, which is really good for the likes of, say, the Super Saiyan 4s or the LR gods, whose team he happens to both be on. So I would definitely put him in my top 10 for that scouter effect alone. He does have a lot of lows, right? He's starting to show his age defensively. Offensively, he's nothing he's nothing to write home about, but he's still a great unit because that super attack foreseen is huge. So I put him at number 10 for that reason. Number 9 is a unit we've been using a lot recently because of his release time, but that is the Ent LR Fuse Zamasu. I put this guy at number 9 simply because while he is powerful and his highs are really high, he can look insanely good, and now that he's got some good partners with the LR Rose and Zamasu EZA and the STR Rose EZA, he's still missing a lot. His biggest downfall is there is no good team for him. Vegeta and Trunks do provide a great 200% team for him. However, it really limits what you need to make him good. He really needs other extreme units like Goku Black type units, Time Traveler type units to look good, and he just doesn't have that when you're running Vegeta and Trunks as leader, because Vegeta and Trunks want to be in slot 1, and you don't want this guy's partners relegated to slot 3. It just doesn't really work. Or even this guy relegated to slot 3 in some cases, which I think is kind of a downside to him. So for that, I can't really put him higher than number 9, but he's definitely on the list because he's defensive, right? If you manage to get his 18 key and launch the super, he's going to tank most hits, as we've seen with his Grand Tour. And he can put out some pretty respectable numbers as well. So for that reason, I place him at number 9. My number 8 pick would probably surprise quite a few of you because I don't think he makes too many people's lists, but he makes mine. Fizz LR Janemba, believe it or not, does make the list for me. This guy was insanely defensive upon his release back in January, and he's only gotten better, right? You know, his defense was so good at one point it became a meme, right? Make him more defensive, give him dodge. But if you actually go the other way and give him some crit chance even, you can actually see some pretty respectable numbers out of him on LR Final Form Cooler's team. And for those reasons, the defense, right? The fact that he's building up in slot 2 or slot 3 and then guarding in slot 1 once you get him fully built up, on top of putting out some pretty good damage, I think that's him a spot in number 8 here. I definitely put him above the Merge Zamasu and the Gogeta just because this guy is safely on Cooler's team. If you're running Cooler's team, unless you're running a full Wicked Bloodline variant, I'm almost guaranteeing you that this guy is on your team, and for that reason, I put him at number 8. Number 7 is actually going to be the first of our worldwide LRs, the Fizz LR Metal Cooler. I put this guy at number 7 because he is great. He makes the top 10 because he just does so much for the Wicked Bloodline team, right? He is healing, he is building attack and defense upon receiving attacks. He can raise his own attack and defense on his super attack as well. He's getting some extra heals with other metal coolers, and he also has a great chance, which is a 70% chance to nullify unarmed super attacks, which is pretty huge. So for those reasons, I do net him at number 7. Now, the reason I don't put him higher than that is because of his revive. I tend to not like revives because many of them, like the metal coolers here, are very, very restrictive. Him being hit doesn't sound too bad until you realize what that actually means. Sometimes it means messing up your entire rotation just to get this guy hit so you can revive. Because if he dies in, say, the 3rd slot, or if someone else dies before you've got him and you're keeping this guy in the 3rd slot, then you've got problems, right? So it also doesn't help that many of his teams don't have units, except for Terrifying Conquerors if you're running Jason Birder, right? Don't have units with scouter effects, so that can be a problem. It can make it locating that super attack to take the hit and die very hard as well. So for that reason, I kind of put him at 7. He does have some additional utility with his active skill being able to heal. That's something interesting that we don't see much of, but still not enough to push him in any further than 7 for me. For number 6, the second of the worldwide LRs, the AGL Super Saiyan Duo. These guys actually make number 6 for me because they're just that good. I know they don't make a lot of people's lists, but I think they were very much overshadowed by LR, Birdku, and Final Form Cooler. But they didn't make them bad by any reason, right? They have an insanely good leader skill with movie heroes and pure Saiyans, right? They raising attack and defense in both forms on their super attacks for both 18 and their 12 key. On top of that, they have damage reduction. Now, 20% doesn't seem like a lot, but, you know, if you relegate these guys to the 3rd slot, that 20% is actually pretty good on top of what they're getting from their raising defense. They are also raising attack and defense for 3 turn, or they're raising attack and defense for 1 turn and launching additionals that can also be crits. That is big. That means these guys have the ability to launch 3 supers in a turn if you invest additionals in them and still crit. That is really, really good for these guys. And they only get more powerful if you manage to keep them around long enough to take 7 hits and perform 3 attacks. If you manage to pull that off and get their morale boost, they could become that much stronger. They have the even more damage reduction now, and they are launching more attacks. Their crit chances is medium now, so it's a lot easier to get more power out of them. And if you manage to get the active skill off, not only are you stunning the enemy, although you probably won't see that, that it can end up doing a lot of damage. I've seen upwards of 10, 11, 12 million on their active skill, which is pretty darn impressive for an active skill. So definitely gotta edge them into number 6 there. Now, my number 3, 4, and 5 picks are interchangeable, but if I had to rank them, right, I would place a pretty surprising pick at number 5, and I know this is probably going to upset a lot of people, but just hear me out before you start jumping in on me at the comments. And remember, this is just my opinion, but my pick is the LR Final Form Cooler for number 5. Now, the reason he makes it into the top 5 is he is probably the most powerful attacking unit in the game. This guy can dish out the heat. He can deal some damage. He can melt HP bars. But on the turns where that's not happening, he is maybe the biggest liability on his team. Bar, Golden Frieza below 40% HP, right? Right? If you have, say, it's your final turn 8, for example, and you're trying to get the mission for Broly, and he just decides he's not going to additional super for you, you end up not only not completing the mission, but you end up getting slapped by Broly because he only did 1 super, and because Cooler only did 1 super, and now you don't have enough defense to survive his normals. It's a problem, right? And his lows, for me at least, appear far more often than his highs, but when his highs do come, they're high and they're fun, right? And for that reason, I put him at number 5. He also has an active skill, though, I should mention that, that raises his attack, which can make that turn really fun, and it also cancels enemies' action. Now, I do like the ability of action cancel, but on the active skill, it usually means that the first attack in the turn, that slot 1 attack, is the thing getting canceled, and that can be useful sometimes, but if you're running AGL Golden Frieza next to him, it's all but a useless ability, you know what I mean? So it's useful. It can help you adjust things in battle. It might even let you put him in slot 1, which would allow you to have like STR Cooler, for example, in slot 2 to build his defense first. There's a lot of play you can do, so it's not a bad ability, and for that, I do put him at number 5. Now, like I said, my 3, 4, and 5 are all interchangeable, but my 3 and 4 more so. I would honestly just make this one line here, the 3 and the 4, but the LR Gods and the LR Super Saiyan 4s I place in the 3 and 4 slot, and that's simply because they are basically the same character in base, right? In base form, they are raising attack and defense infinitely. In base form, they have the ability to launch supers, which means your stacks, your infinite defense and attack raises, happen that much quicker if you get their 20 key. Now you invest some additionals in them, and now that's happening even quicker because you're supering, 3 times in a turn. Now, where these guys begin to differ is their transformation. I do find that the God's transformation tends to be a little more consistent, especially with dupes in them. On top of that, dodging is an insanely powerful ability, whereas Gogeta only gets damage reduction on Rainbow Orb pickup compared to the Gods, who have dodge on Rainbow Orb pickup. But both are really good. Both serve very, very similar functions. They both have active skills, they both transform, and they both, on their 18 key post-transformation, cancel enemy actions. Now, I find the ability to launch the action cancel on the super attack far more useful than on the active skill, and for those reasons, I put these guys at 3 and 4. But like I said, I can see an argument for either one of them ahead of the other, and I can honestly see an argument for someone wanting to place Cooler above these guys. So I would definitely say that, the lists, those 3 could be reordered, but for me, the Gods and the 4s are a definite 3 and 4, in my opinion. So that brings us to 1 and 2. Now, like 3, 4, and 5, 1 and 2 are interchangeable, I feel, and it really depends on your playstyle. But I will go ahead and tell you that my number 2 pick is going to be pretty surprising, because I think a lot of people settled on someone else as number 2 and another as number 1, but I'm going to go this route. Alright, for me, number 2 is LR Birdku. LR Birdku is extremely useful, right? He can be slapped on just about any team, and for the start, he's guarding again. He's guarding, He's effective against all type. He's raising his attack and defense upon hitting. He's raising his defense infinitely on super. And if you ever happen to fall below 59% HP, you lose all your passive, but you revive and you come back swinging the next turn with the guarding all attacks. So definitely give this guy number 2, because this ability slapped onto any team is extremely useful. His revive is unconditional other than HP, meaning he doesn't have to take the hit. Anyone on the team can take the hit. You can throw this guy in the start slot, and anybody prior to him can take the hit, and you'll still revive. So for that, I edge him into number 2. He also has the same ability as the Cooler, where he can cancel enemy action with his active skill, which is useful. But like I said, I count that as useful. It's very helpful for clearing out slot 1, but I do prefer it on the super attack, honestly. But for his other abilities is why he's at number 2. And given that we put Birdku at number 2, I think it makes it obvious who number 1 LR is for me. Can be yellow coin, can be red coin, but you know, if you want to take a guess real quick, I'll give a moment to pause. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you got a guess, put it in the comments down below, and I will reveal my answer right about... Oh, see, now I've lost them. Where are they? They're hiding from me. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Vegeta and Trunks are number 8. I feel like it was obvious. We've been using them. I've been saying it so much lately, but Vegeta and Trunks are number 1. You guys should know why. Leader skill, bond of parent and child, is an insanely big and powerful category. Every major Goku that's released, every major Vegeta post-Android Cell Saga that's released is on this category. A lot of the good Gohans are on this category. Han is on this category. The new Gohan is going to be on this category. It's a really, really good category. On top of that, right, their guard in slot 1, they are the perfect slot 1 unit, because not only do they start off insanely defensive to begin with, they're getting more defensive as they get hit, and they infinitely stack on their 18 key, which means they will be relevant always in slot 1. And for me, this really, really pushes them to number 1, because bond of parent and child is a big category, and even so, they're only going to be added to more categories, right? As Vegeta's family gets better, they're going to be there. Bond of master disciple, that's guaranteed going to be with Gohan. I shouldn't say guaranteed, but it's pretty darn close. Time travelers, he really helps this team out. Battle of Fate is a really good category, consisting of the big hitters on the super side of things. So realistically, he's a good slot 1 unit for all of those teams, and for that, I gotta put him in number 1. They do everything that you would want a unit to do, right? They crit, they additional, they raise attack and defense infinitely, right? And they have guard in slot 1. So I put him at number 1 for that. And like I said, depending on your play style, you could switch him out with Birdku. I was for a while flipping back and forth, Birdku or them, and ultimately edged it out to Vegeta and Trunks. And I think it is very, very well deserved. So anyways, guys, that is my top 10 LR tier list for the year 2022. I know some of my answers may have surprised you, may have not if you've been around for the channel for a while. I know some of my picks may be angering a lot of people, so I just want to remind you that this is my subjective list, and if you have a different list, feel free to share with your list in the comments down below. I would love to hear what other people are saying are the top 10. Who would you move out on my list? And if you do move them out, who would you move in their place? Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.